All right, so we're picking up where we left off from. We're on Genesis 48. One day, not long after this, word came to Pharaoh, "My father is failing rapidly." So Joseph went to visit his father, and he took his two sons, um, Manasseh and Ephraim. Then Joseph arrived, and Jacob was told, "Your son Joseph has come to see you." So Jacob gathered his strength and sat up in the bed. "Jacob," said Joseph, "God Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me. He said to me, 'I will make you fruitful, and I will multiply your descendants. I will make you a multitude of nations, and I will give you the land of Canaan to your descendants and after you as an everlasting possession.' Now I am claiming as my own sons these two boys are yours, Ephraim and Manasseh, who are born here in the land of Egypt before I arrived. They will be my sons, just as Reuben and Simeon are. But any children born to you in the future will be your own. And this is the inherited land of the territories, their brother Ephraim and Manasseh. Long ago, as I would return to Padaraim, Rachel died in the land of Canaan. We were still away from a distance from Ephrath. This was Bethlehem. So, with the great sorrow, I buried her on the side of the road of Ephrath. Then Jacob looked over at the two boys. "These are my sons?" he asked. "Yes," it says, "These are your sons?" he asked. "Yes," Joseph told him. "These are my sons. God gave them to me in Egypt." So Jacob said, "Bring them closer to me, and I will bless them." Jacob was half blind because of his age, and he could hardly see. He could hardly see. So Joseph brought the boys close to him, and Jacob kissed him and embraced him. So Jacob said to Joseph, "I never thought I would see your face again, but now God has let me see my children too." Joseph moved the boys from their grandfather's knees, and they bowed with his face on the ground. Then he positioned the boys in front of Jacob. With the right hand he directed Ephraim towards Jacob's left hand, and with his left hand he put Manasseh to Jacob's right hand. But Jacob crossed his arms, and he reached out and laid his hands on the boy's head. He put his right hand on the head of Ephraim, though he was the younger boy, and the left hand on the head of Manasseh, who was the firstborn. Then he blessed Joseph and said, May God before you, whom your grandfather Abraham and my father Isaac walked, the God who had been the shepherd of all my life to this very day, the angel who has redeemed me from all my harm, may bless these boys. May they present my name and the name of Abraham and Isaac and their descendants multiply greatly throughout the earth." But Joseph was upset. Then he saw that his father placed his right hand on Ephraim's head, and so Joseph lifted it and moved it to Ephraim's head, to Manasseh's hand. "No, my father," he said, "this is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head." But his father refused. "I know, son, I know," he replied. "Manasseh also will become a great people, but his younger brother will become even greater, and the descendants will become a multitude of nations." So Jacob blessed the boys that day with the blessing, "The people of Israel will be your names." Then he gave them a blessing, and he said, "May God make you prosperous as Ephraim and Manasseh." In this way Jacob put Ephraim's head ahead of Manasseh. Then Jacob said to Joseph, "Look, I'm about to die, and God will be with you. He will take you back to the land of Canaan of your ancestors, and beyond what I have given your brothers, I am giving you an extra portion of the land that you took from the Amorites with my sword and bow." Okay. Now we're going to go to Genesis 49. Then Jacob called together his sons and said, "Gather around me. I will tell you what will happen in the days to come. Come and listen to my sons Jacob. Listen to Israel your father. Reuben, you are the firstborn of my strength, the child of my vigorous youth. You are first in rank in all the power, but you are also unruly as a flood, and you will be first no longer. For when for you went to bed with my wife, and defiled the marriage couch. Simeon and Levi are two of a kind, their weapons and instruments of violence. May I never join in their meetings. May I never be a party of their plans. For in their anger they murder men and they cripple oxen and just for sport. The curse of their anger is its fierce, the curse of their wrath, for it is cruel. I scatter them around the descendants of Jacob. I will despise them throughout Israel. Depress them, throughout Israel. Judah, your brothers will praise you. You will gather your enemies by the neck, and all your relatives will bow before you. Judah, my son, the young lion that was finished early, that finished eating its prey. Like a lion he crouched, and he lay down like a lioness, who dares to arouse him. The specter will not depart from Judah, nor rule a staff of his descendants until the coming of the one whom it belongs to in the nations of honor. He tied his fowls in a grapevine and the colts in his donkeys and his choice vine. He washed his clothes in wine and his robes in the blood of the grapes. His eyes are darkened with wine and his teeth are whiter than milk. Zebulun will settle by the seashore, and you will be the harbor of the ships, and the border will exceed to Sidon. Issachar is the sturdily donkey resting between two saddle packs. When you see the good countryside and how pleasant the land is, you will bend your shoulder and load and submit yourself to the hard labor. Dan will govern the people like all the other tribes of Israel. Dan will be the snake behind the road and the poisonous vapor along the path who bites the horse's hooves as the riders are thrown off. I trust in you for salvation, O Lord. Gad, you will be attacked by modern bands, and you will attack them in retreat. Asher will divine rich food and produce and food fit for kings. Naphtali is the doe to set free of the beautiful fawns. Joseph is the fowl of the wind of the wild donkey and the fowl of the wild donkey and spring, one of the wild donkeys on a ridge. Asher attacked him savagely and shot him and harassed him. But the bow remains taut to his arm and stretched out by the hand of the Almighty One Jacob. By the shepherd of the rock of Israel, may the God of your fathers help you. May the Almighty bless you with all the blessings of heaven above and all the blessings of the watery depth below, and the blessings of the beast of the breast of wombs. May your Father bless you on surpassing the blessing of your ancestors, reaching to the highest of the eternal hills. May these blessings rest on the hand of Joseph, and who is the prince among his brothers. Benjamin is the ravenous wolf, devouring his enemies in the morning and dividing the plunder in the evening. These are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is what their father had said and told them when he was telling his sons goodbye. He blessed each one of them as with an appropriate message. Jacob's death. Okay. Jacob says, Then Jacob instructed them, Soon I will die and join my ancestors. Bury me with my father and my grandfather in the cave in the field of Ekron in Hittite. This is the cave in the field of Machpelah, near the Memnon of Canaan, that Abraham bought from Ekron the Hittite as a permanent burial site. There Abraham and his wife Sarah are buried. There Isaac and his wife Rebekah are buried. And there I buried Leah. This is the plot of the land of the cave the grandfather Abraham brought from the Hittites. When Jacob had finished his charge to his sons, he drew his feet into his bed, breathed his last breath, and joined his ancestors in death. And we are going to stop there. That is Genesis 49:33. And we'll be back tomorrow to finish up. Thanks. Bye.